idolize literally at all.
So, Derrick, we're here. We made it.
We're here in life. We're here in just now, today. We're physically able to even be here.
Yep.
I'm able to get an Uber here. Just the independence to still live life.
Yep.
Feels good.
How old are you, Derrick?
28.
28 years old.
Yeah. I'll be 29 this year. You can tell, maybe if you look close enough, that I am blind.
Yep.
But the scars that only show a hairband scar and a scar from my belly button all the way up my torso,
okay,
they don't tell us the story of how severe my crash was with the brain injury.
So your crash,
Yeah.
What did you crash? A car, a bike? How did this crash happen?
This crash, and this is back in 2013, so it's 2021 now. 2013 was 8 years ago.
Yep.
I guess this would be the 8th year. I was 21 years old, and I don't remember that year, 2013. Barely any of that year, except for just like bullet points, like facts. But much of that year is gone, and I'll explain why. Because with the crash, motorcycle crash, stationary construction truck, I had to be flown from the crash scene as a trauma alert by Bay flight, middle of the night. Got flown in. Doctors called my mom middle of the night. They called the officers. They told her not to drive. They were going to send an officer to transport her to the hospital because her son had been in a crash. She says when she got to the hospital, she couldn't even be allowed back to see me because I was in that traumatic of a shape. They were trying to, I guess, like, severely keep me alive. I was in the emergency room. I'm trying to go off memory with all this.
So did they put you? So, well, let's go back a little bit. So, what even made you want this motorcycle? Were you always a motorcycle person, or?
Not always a motorcycle person. While I have always loved the speed, at the same time I liked that adrenaline rush of trying to push the limit. And it was, in my mind, only a matter of time before I would get a motorcycle. And my mom dreaded the idea, hated when I had it.
So, were you trying to get it to fit in, or was it just like, obviously you got the adrenaline rush off of it?
Right.
Was it something like for other people out there, like that want a bike,
Right. And that's the thing. What's crazy is I don't even remember buying that motorcycle. That part of my memory is gone, but I do remember my first bike I had. And it was, while I wanted the speed, the fun factor, I would say is more so like a 70-30 split, that I wanted just that BA factor, that popularity factor. Like, wow, Derrick has a motorcycle? Shoot.
Yeah.
When you see a motorcycle when it goes by, especially when it's painted candy red, like, oh, who's that under the helmet? Derrick? Hey, what's up? So I wanted that, but...
So were these bikes, were they Harleys? Were they speed bikes? Like, what type?
Definitely speed bikes.
Yeah.
My first bike was a Kawasaki Ninja, and that was just a straight speed bike. That's all it was. My second bike was a Enduro, which is a street legal dirt bike. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember owning that bike, but I do know, just by research, what that bike has. It's powerful as far as being quick, and it's otherwise just exactly what it is, a street legal dirt bike.
So this night that you were riding, well, prior to that night riding, how did you used to ride? Were you always riding fast? Were you riding defensive? Did you not care? Did you wear helmets? How did you ride? Do you remember?
I remember only from my first bike how I rode, and I was a lot younger
Yeah.
at that point. But even still, motorcycles, while they were fun, they were scary. Like I actually, my first bike, I never took it on the interstate.
Yeah.
While it could have been efficient to jump from all the way 5th Ave North to across town to Fossil Park, yeah, just jump the interstate. You'll be there in half the time.
Yeah.
Going 65 for me, and I don't know if this sounds corny to say, but going 65 or 70 on the interstate on a motorcycle next to cars that are
In Florida.
Yeah, especially in Florida, going the same speed, and you're expected to not pull out in front of someone or have someone see you,
Yeah.
a small moving vehicle.
You know, for people to trust everybody else is what gets me.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a bike
Yeah.
somewhere that has the countryside and everything like that,
Open roads.
So be it, do your thing. But here in Florida, you can't expect people to drive defensive for you while you're on your bike. And if you do, you're really asking for it because
Yeah.
this is not the place for a bike.
You can't see a mile down the street ahead of you what's coming. It's live. It's always refreshing.
Always.
There's always traffic just everywhere, all hours of the night. I don't understand it.
So, who told you the things that had happened the night of your accident? Like, who actually gave you, were you with people? Were you by yourself?
Well, I was with a friend, and this is all just what I've been told. The following story, anyone who's hearing this right now, imagine how you're feeling, like you're hearing new information. This was told to me as new information. But I'm supposed to believe that I'm the person they're talking about. They being hospital staff, they being my mom, whose voice I didn't even recognize coming out of my coma. I was in a motorcycle crash. I had woken up from a coma after, I think, 2 months I was in a coma. 70 days I was in neurological ICU. And the motorcycle crash, I was told only after the fact. Only after.
So, do you remember a nurse telling you, or did you just,
no.
as of right now, all of your information is coming from your mother, who also got her information from the hospital?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I would say that.
So it's kind of like relayed information. Not saying that either is wrong, but it has to be slightly frustrating for you that you don't know the exact facts of that. You know.
Well, that's the thing. It's interesting you say exact facts, because this is a perfect perfect opportunity to just jump in a little side alley way, but I feel like it's real to be said.
Okay.
So, just in talking about like the biking community, at least my view of it was bikers are just all boys. Like anyone who has a bike, yeah, let's meet up, have a few of our bikes on the side of the road. It's an underground kind of thing of like where everyone's cool.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. When my crash happened, I found out, I was told that I was riding with my best friend that night. He was on his own motorcycle. We were both leaving a car show. And my crash happened not even a mile away from the car show. So just down the road.
Yeah.
And on US 19 in Curlew, so I was riding down US 19. US 19 in Curlew is when I ran into the construction truck. My best friend, him and I worked together. We'd hang out every weekend. We were all in the same circle. That level of just bro. The crash happened. He got back after I was picked up and flown to the hospital. He got back on his bike and just drove home. I haven't heard from the dude since.
Really?
I have not even heard from him since. And years later, just after any like frustration, just out of wanting to know why your best friend, I haven't heard from him.
Yeah.
Like, even after any ill will was just burnt away. At this point, now I just wanted to reach out to him and get an answer, because I'm curious, like, hey, can you tell me about any of my life in 2013? I don't remember that year. I reached out to him. I got his information from, because like I said, he used to be my best friend.
Yeah.
So I thought. So I was cool with his mom, with his sister. Reached out to his sister on Facebook, got his contact information, found out he moved out of state, and sent both him and his girlfriend a text on the weekend when they would go into town, because throughout the week when they're not in town, they don't have service.
Yeah.
So I'm hitting him with a exact pinpoint sniper location text message. Like, I'm hitting them on the dot when they'll be in town and everything.
Yeah.
And just said, just like, hey, this is Derrick Jenkins, my name. I'm texting you, addressing him by name, and then his girlfriend by his girlfriend, whatever her name was. Saying, hey, this is just Derrick. I'm trying to reach out to so-and-so, my so-called best friend, and just want to know anything about that year. I don't remember anything, and I don't know how much you remember, but I don't remember any of it. So apparently you were there that night.
Yeah, he could fill a void for you.
He could fill not just a void, just
but
like
that whole year. Just
that whole
anything,
year, yeah. And never heard back from him.
So I can tell you this, and this is just because I do personally know you.
Mm-hmm.
That person, I don't remember their name, but I did get introduced to him from you one time.
Really?
At a party. And you both had bikes and everything. And I cannot remember his name to save my life. But
if we both had bikes, that was 2013.
Yeah, you both had bikes. Yep.
Wow.
And I did see you, and I did talk to you, and we were at a party, and I vaguely remember him just being kind of like a party animal, like he was getting crazy, and that's, so that to me just kind of, it goes hand in hand with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I didn't want to chime in and say that personal experience that I had with him, but it is valid for what you're saying right here, so I thought I should tell
wild.
you. Yeah, and there was just a random time that we met up at a party. I forget whose house it was, but I do remember seeing him, and you both came together. And I'm pretty sure he had long hair. But
he used to, yeah.
Yeah.
Just that's what's interesting is like the fact you remember not the full detail, like whose house or what was going on, just that interaction of meeting him.
Yeah.
That kind of speaks volumes to something. I don't know what, but it
wasn't that I thought he was a bad person or anything. Like, I was having fun with him and everything else, but I remember he was a little bit over the top, so I'm not blaming anybody for anything, but I'm just saying, it does go with the characteristics that you were stating now that you don't really remember.
Yeah.
And that's the only experience I have with him. So.
All right, yeah. Yeah, and that hopefully that can also shine light on kind of like how reckless I got with living, because that was my best friend, so if someone is that definition of a quote party animal.
Yeah.
That was the whole squad. Like, we were all being rambunctious.
Yeah. So, all right, so let's go back to the night of. So, you get in the accident. So, prior, when you're riding, I know you don't remember, but what did they tell you, like, speed-wise? How did this happen? Like, how did you end up hitting the construction truck? What type of construction truck was it, if you know? Was it a construction site itself that you went off road and hit, or was it in the road and you just hit it dead on?
That's the thing. As I'm learning the story, I'm going to tell it in the way that I was told and learned it. I hit a construction truck leaving a car show at US 19 in Curlew, wherein this was a parked station truck with, I guess, the arrows pointing to go around or something, where it was visible. So it wasn't just there chilling in the middle of the road with no obvious indicators.
Okay.
All cars knew to go around it. So for them to come on a crash scene and see just a guy there, and I'm going to get graphic real quick, to see a random guy laying there, hitting a stationary construction truck, crashed motorcycle laying on the concrete with his eyes hanging out of his head.
Both of your eyes?
Both of my eyes out of my head. From the roof of my mouth up, my skull was so demolished that later doctors and surgeons wouldn't be able to find all the bits and pieces of my skull to reconstruct it. So they had to take bone grafts and skin grafts from different parts of my body just to plug up, per se, all the holes.
Gotcha.
I mean, it made no sense. Like, how does anyone just hit a stationary truck? Like, the one place on the road not to be driving, that's what you hit?
Do you know how much you were drinking, or did they say how fast you may have been going? I know they probably found alcohol in your blood, or
they did find alcohol in my blood, and only by test though, because
you couldn't do anything. Obviously.
Right, I couldn't do anything. Yeah. And when anyone asked my we'll just say ex best friend, asked, this doesn't make sense. Was there drunk? Were you guys drinking? No, we weren't. Denied it. And this is actually going to play a critical point in what I tell you next. Yeah. So besides him, no one knew that we were drinking that night or that I was drunk, except for him and the doctors who took in this presumably about to die body, and they wanted to do blood tests on him, see what's in his system. Found out I was drunk. I don't remember how much it was, but it was over the legal limit. And they took that, just left it in my medical notes. Otherwise, now they're going to try to keep me alive so they can I can undergo 32 different separate surgeries. Yeah. Just to keep me alive. So that's just add that into the pile of medical notes. The next part of finding out that I was drunk that night, crazy enough, it came to my mom from her now blind son, who doesn't even remember that night and has short-term memory loss, so temporary loss of memory that I could be told something, take a nap, wake up, and not even remember where I was in a moving car. Like, I didn't remember I was on my way to the grocery store.
Oh, wow.
It was that severe. So when I went to my hospital room and just apologized to my mom, I'm so sorry I for drinking and driving, I should have known better. Honey, what are you talking about? She says. Like, the night of my crash, I'm so sorry. I was drunk. I had no idea, and in my mind, I was figuring I wasn't being reminded that. Yeah. Like how I said, I had to be reminded of simple things regularly. I just figured they weren't reminding me of that so constantly because I was already going through enough. Like, yeah, I had survived a crash. I'm blind, but yeah, you know how close I was to death. So I figured that was just them being nice. Like, so Mom. My sister was there as well. Mom, Destiny, I'm so sorry.
Like, she was just trying not to stress you out.
Yeah,
like, just,
exactly.
It's fine. And, like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
You didn't drink and drive, just to make you feel more comfortable for now.
Right. My mom, who had stayed by my bedside, literally the entire time I was in the ER.
She is an amazing person.
It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, that speaks volumes to not only just her personality, but like the wires underneath the board when it comes to the consequences, the not just the physical damages, but the damages that stretch out, the spider web effect. That played a role, just her being by my bedside, meaning loss of a job. I mean, an employer or manager, whoever, can't pay someone to not be there at work, not do your work. That actually played into her eventually, working from home, doing the same legal field that she has been working and loved to work. She started her own business and landed enough client base to actually open her own office downtown St. Pete's as her own business, her own LLC.
Oh, wow, that is awesome.
That's just it's incredible. So, it's absolutely incredible.
So, you said every night she was there. Do you know how long you were in the ER for, or the ICU?
Yeah, I was in neurological ICU for, I believe it was 70 days. Okay. Under the prognosis of grave, which,
basically, it's just a matter of time.
No, not even that. It was the doctors telling my mom that I'm sorry, your son, he's not going to survive this. That's
what I meant by that. It's only a matter of time until you pass, but it's just like an easy passing type thing.
Yeah, because even if I did wake up from my coma, which would be, his brain injury was so severe, they said I lost, I think it was 50% or something of my brain was just diffused, injured. So front, back, top, bottom, left, and right, everywhere. Yeah. So severe frontal lobe damage, that's with memory, hence the short-term memory loss, but parts all over my brain. So I am no longer, my brain doesn't have the ability to tell my body when to hold on to water. So I am medically dehydrated at all times, and chronically. For the rest of my life, I will be. I cannot sweat as to regulate my body temperature, nor can I shiver if
you get cold.
Get too cold. I can be outside. It's here in Florida where I live. It's hot 99% of the time as it is raining. So
yeah.
For me, that's heat stroke in as little as 15, 20 minutes of just a normal hot day outside, going for a walk on the beach.
And you won't drip any sweat at all.
None. I lost that ability
Yeah.
to do so.
Yep.
So that kind of speaks to the severity of a brain injury. It's not like a tore muscle that'll just let it heal for a little bit and it'll grow back, or a broken bone, break that back into place, keep it in a cast. Brain injury, you never heal from.
It's remarkable that you can speak and do the things that you do, I must say, after all that, to say the least.
Thank you.
Now, when did it start improving to the point of where it is now?
It's weird because it was a very gradual kind of ability to hold on to memories. But it's weird to say that, because how do you hold on to a memory if you forgot it? There's nothing there to hold on to.
Yeah.
So my short-term memory, like, I don't know. I started learning how to use anchors. Is a key word that I found online, which is the perfect way to describe it. To remember an idea that, like a memory that I would want to remember, which would make sense on birthday or an anniversary or something. I found an anchor, or like a reason to hold on that, emotion-based. So if I wanted to remember someone new I'm meeting, it would be, okay, let's try to attribute a letter of her name or something to
make them stand out in your mind, where you can always remember that.
Exactly.
Like an anchor. I understand what you're saying now.
I don't remember it because, like I said, it was very gradual. My mom, who was by my side just the entire time, because getting my independence back took a while, she said the two leaps in cognitive recovery that she saw were when I started playing with my old childhood Legos, and not just putting them on a little flat board. I'm building 3D structures of helicopters with moving propellers, everything to scale. And it was only by coincidence that it was color coordinating, because similar Legos happen to be similar colors. Yeah. So she was like, that looks incredible. Like, you built that completely? Yeah, so I started building things like that. And I was able to almost see it. Well, I can't see anything. I don't have eyes anymore. Yeah. But I'm seeing, because I understand what vision is, these mental images. So I'm living in almost like a 3D virtual reality, but real time. Yeah. Like, everything is 3D reality, because I understand where there should be things. Whether it's this chair, I understand there should be handles. I don't have to look down to perfectly hit those, or my legs right there.
How are you handling now the blind part of things? And like do you go to, does someone coach you? How do you learn these things?
Right, that's interesting. I've been, I guess it's an ever learning thing.
Yeah.
But I have to find ways to reach the same goal a different way, though. I'm trying to give an example of...
Like, basically, do you have a guide stick now?
Yeah, I utilize a cane. I don't have a guide dog, but I utilize my cane, and I guess that's a perfect example. In my college, I can be going down the hallways. If there's ideally no students, I'm tapping, and I can hear the echo of my cane taps on the tile floor bounce off the walls and hear a chamber, so much so I can detect generally how wide it is and when it opens up, or if it narrows down to like a closed door, because then I can hear my cane taps bouncing off the door.
Wow.
So what's interesting is it's not that I gained this magic ability. We all have that. You, person next to me, anyone and everyone. We all have that ability to hone in on hearing, but I understand this only because I used to have sight. Sighted people allow themselves to be so visually distracted. And not in a negative way of distraction, but visual distraction in that, well, why try to hone in on where the echo tap is coming from if you can see that there's a door right there? So obviously you're going to want to go to the right one step.
Your brain goes with the convenient route.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, it's making it the convenient route, the quickest, the most efficient route. So we all hear the same thing, but I'm forced to process that. So I utilize tactics like that.
So your hearing right now is amazing in a sense of like it does heighten your other senses by losing your vision.
And that's the thing. It doesn't. That's what's interesting. Rather, it's not that it heightens.
It's a myth that I've heard.
Yeah, it's not that it heightens the other senses, but it allows me to kind of hone in on those other senses, like what I'm actually getting at the audible level. Or
gotcha.
Like both you and I. Let's be quiet real quick. It's a ceiling fan or something, a ticking.
Yep.
That's coming from that general direction, and both you and I can hear it. But
did you hear a little bell type thing? Like,
oh yeah.
Did you hear like a little chain kind of deal? Right?
Yeah.
That was my cat. It ran under the bar, and it was just one little dingle of the bell. Yeah.
It's right there.
She really is. Yeah. I'm not even kidding.
That's wild. So that's what's interesting. Like, I can't see anything, but I have a mental, like a 3D virtual reality of where things are, but not in like visual detail necessary descriptions and like fine lines and such, but more so like objects. You, camera, cat. There should be a table right here.
Yep.
Chair. So I like have object kind of indicators.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's backtrack just a little bit more because I have some more interest in the hospital deal.
Yeah.
So when you're in there, and when was the turning point when you went from grave on that piece of paper to surviving?
Yeah.
Do you know, like, was there anything that happened? Like, did you just talk? Did you like open up and say something that like really made them know that you were coherent, or?
No, it wasn't. It was going from being flown in as a trauma alert, as a person who's not going to survive, to being in a coma for such a severity of trauma that I was in. The injuries I sustained, multiple organ failure, broken bones, traumatic brain injury, everything. While I'm being just trying to be kept alive, I underwent 32 separate surgeries.
Instantly,
no, that's the thing. It was. I was in the hospital for months. I don't know exactly how long.
Was there any on-site surgery, though? Did they just put you right into surgery when you got there, or did they...
They couldn't.
Okay.
They couldn't even rush me into surgery if I'm...
That's what I wanted to know. Okay.
Because I was told, I don't remember any of it, but I was in such a critical of a condition that they were just... any surgery that I could, I guess, be put on the back burner, if you will. Like, because the most urgent, the most necessary and pertinent of things to keep me alive had to be done.
Yeah.
Because my body was shutting down.
Yeah. So they just spent weeks on end basically just to keep you alive before the surgery is what it was?
I believe so. I don't know how long.
I got you, yeah.
Before my first surgery, but yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, that's very
crazy to think about.
Yeah, man.
And that's what's weird is, like, if I tell someone who learns this for the first time, I know exactly the emotion they're feeling, because it's like, oh, I'm myself, Derrick, is hearing about this story for the first time, and then after the story, you're like, oh, by the way, Derrick, that character the story you just heard, that was you. You were that character, and I'm forced to believe this, but I have no memory of it whatsoever, nor has it come back to me like, oh, that's right, I did go there the other day.
Yeah.
It's never coming back, so it's weird just to kind of have to believe a story.
Yeah,
it's just fact.
When I heard about your accident, I did not know. I don't even remember who told me how it happened or anything, but I had heard the same type of story that you did, that your eyes were actually out and that you had survived something that serious and that it wasn't just a broken bone or something of that matter, and I was just in awe that you had even survived. So that, I know now you are more grateful than ever to have this life. So, I'm not going to say that this is a blessing to you, But I do know that you are a much more grateful person now just by talking to you than the person that I knew then.
Yeah.
And that's just my honest opinion.
There's a kind of, if you will, kind of a very simple phrase that it really hits home for me that I like to utilize. For me, it took going blind to finally see clearly.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is just see life clearly, whether it's priorities that I started to lose sight of.
Yeah.
I guess I was a freshman in college at the time, but that year, I guess I just quit going to
school.
Yeah, which I don't remember, but to hear that I did that.
You wouldn't do that now if you were already into college and everything.
Right. And that's the crazy thing. I had finally been able to return back to college. And not only that, but pass up to college calculus 2 with a passing grade of A's and B's and C's.
Wow.
C's on some things, but I just signed up for differential equations and physics 2 at the lab for this next upcoming semester.
Okay, so that is intense.
If you remember from math classes in high school when we worked with imaginary numbers, a blind guy doing imaginary numbers is that not just the biggest pun there?
Do you have a specific person that helps you on the side, or do you just vocally write what you're hearing? Do they give you pamphlets? How do you learn?
This is what's incredible about technology. I have a calculator that talks to me, and it tells what buttons I'm pressing as to put in information, and it can also read whatever is on the screen if I want an answer. Okay. So, but that can be something as simple as 2 plus 3, or something as, I say simple, but cosine 45 degrees. Oh, let me change that to radians because A, B, C, and working out things like this, my calculator can do all that as well as my phone. Let's see if the microphone can pick this up.
1:56 p.m.
So right here, it's 1:56 p.m.
Thursday, August 5th.
And Thursday, August 5th. This phone not just speaks what's on screen. I have apps that can take a picture of something and describe what it is to me.
Wow.
And
your screen's black right now when I'm looking at it, and you're swiping and you're doing your stuff with it. It's completely black. It almost looks like it's off.
Exactly, and that's a screen. It's called a screensaver. So, because I don't need
not the typical screensaver.
Right. Or a screen curtain. I mean, not screensaver.
That's
the literal sense.
If I ever seen one.
Screen curtain. I mean, so because I don't need to look at it. And so with that, it's cool because I get to save battery life. So why waste battery on bright lights and colors?
Yeah.
And what's also kind of fun and cool is in some categories, I have an advantage on navigating, whether it's an app or searching results on YouTube or Google, because I can utilize all those apps the same way other sighted people can. And you would think, well, how do you know where to touch on the screen? I can navigate a web page, a screen of pop-up results or something, by either what would be dragging the page to swipe down, or I have the benefit where I can just turn my virtual dial, navigate any and every heading on that page, any and every button, link, et cetera, et cetera. So I can bypass all of the ads, and I just want to read the article, whatever the font is, no links or headings and everything. I can just jump to navigate the page by static text, it's called, which is just written text. There's no link or heading to an image. I jump straight to the information, the bulk of the page, which bypasses how many pages of advertisements. And
the app knows how to do that.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. That makes it a lot more convenient for you, that's for sure.
Because
these days ads are everywhere, and that would just make your life that much harder. So anybody out there that is having vision issues or anything that needs an app that can really help you out,
look into a screen reader.
Yeah, any screen reader.
Yep. Myself, I use an iPhone, Apple VoiceOver, but Windows computers, they have JAWS. I don't know if Android has any technology, but
hey, that's good to know, though.
Yeah, those are the three main platforms and opportunities.
All right. So now, where are you? Do you work?
I actually just got a job last year. I think I've been there for less than a year, maybe 8 months now.
Okay.
Working at Publix as a bagger.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's my first job I've had since becoming blind. So, not only was I going into a potential hiring manager is like, hey, I'm a blind guy, can I possibly get a job here? Not only that, but can I be a bagger, which would be the only ideal other job to have, because I can't be a cashier. Like, this 20 looks fake, you know. Just being silly. I have blind humor. But the most ideal job would be bag. I enjoy it. And I mean that in like, I genuinely enjoy establishing rapport with customers that come through. How long are you usually in line? For a couple minutes, right? The rapport from when they get in line till they're walking away after the conversation we've just had from there to here. I've been told by many customers that, oh, I saw that you were working, so I made sure to come through your line just so I could stop by and say hey.
That's awesome.
It's incredible. It really, because I guess, I don't know, and that's what's interesting. I don't know if it's the blindness that helps me kind of use conversation as to detect where they are, where their cart is. And I always say is I don't want to go for the awkward crotch grab area, because if I want to feel if a shopping cart is there, if they're here, so I can start loading things yet. I always say that's usually where their crotch grab area is. So as cashier, can you tell me when the customer's here? Or I'll ask if they're there. So in starting that conversation, it's fun because I ask, hey, how's your day going? So I tell how far away they are.
Yeah.
And then just from there, it's conversation, and maybe it's my personality, but we just start chit-chatting, and next thing you know, at least one of us is cracking a giggle because I do a blind pun or something. I love awkward tension. That's some of my favorite things. If you can cut it with a pair of scissors, I love it.
So you make a lot of blind jokes?
Yes, dude. I drop blind jokes, and I have to kind of... That's the disadvantage is I can't read the situation as easy as some people might be able to. So I'm having to go off context clues. Like, all right, might this person get it if I do drop a blind joke? Like, how young is the child I hear in the cart? I've had like children say, "Sir, why are you putting groceries away with your eyes closed?" Like, so I love those kind of things. So like I have to read the context clues and where things are.
To laugh, but that is
It's hilarious.
Oh,
I loved it because it was a child who you could tell was young enough to not be able to read completely social fabric cues, but still old enough to be observant to speak what was on their mind.
Yeah.
So I love those opportunities because the mom or whoever the parent was like, oh, because he's blind, but he can't.
Yeah.
He's blind, so he doesn't need his eye. So whispering like that I was blind, and I heard it enough because, my super hearing powers now, but like I'm so honed in on hearing, so I'm hearing all the sounds. I didn't. First off, I didn't want either of them to feel awkward for either her kid saying that like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir," or him saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir." I never want that awkward tension. So I view that as a learning opportunity. So I spoke up. I was like, "Well, I'm actually blind," and what was interesting, I viewed it as an opportunity. I was going to make what would otherwise be eye contact with them. So talking to the camera here, let's give it the effect. Well, I'm actually blind, and so right now I'm feeling for, there we go, my cup, and then that's cold, so I want another cold item right now so I can find that. There we go, that's good. I'll put both the ice cream and the cup in the same bag because that's heavy enough. So now I'm putting this here.
I was going to ask that next.
And then I'm doing this all while looking directly at him, so to give him kind of the effect of, well, if I look away from you, like, you're still doing it. How? Because like I said, he was young enough to speak what was on his mind, but still be observant enough, so he was intelligent enough to obviously make sense of what he was seeing.
Gotcha, that's awesome.
So it was a cool learning opportunity for the child and also the parent, because that's not, at least for me, since I never before blindness, I never had a reason to know what blind people go through.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Because why would I need to know that? I have sight. Why would I want to close my eyes and go blindfolded when I could just look?
So do you remember when you woke up, obviously, and you couldn't see? What was your first book you hunt for?
Oh, no.
No, it's okay. It's just
That's what I was
water.
hoping wouldn't happen.
You know what? That shows the authenticity.
I bet if that was on camera right now.
It is on camera and on film. And we got you pointing at the cat, and I found the cat too under there, so it's proof that there was a cat under there.
Oh my goodness. I mean, at this point, now I almost gotta like point the finger, like, you have sight, bro. Why couldn't you stop me from knocking over my water?
There you go. There you go.
I'm joking. I'm sorry about that, man.
No, you're good. I poured a little bit up for you in your water now, but yeah, man. I just I really do appreciate you telling everybody your story, man. It's moving for sure.
Thank you.
And I know this is just the little bits and pieces of it. This is nowhere near the whole story.
Right. I mean, just to answer your question, when I literally learned in the hospital, after post-coma, after I awoke from my coma, and I had to relearn how to walk and talk. Literally.
Yeah.
Because the brain injury was so severe, short-term memory loss, jaw was wired shut for months, skull was demolished, I lost... Broken jaw. From the roof of my mouth up, my skull was so demolished that they couldn't find all the bits and pieces of skull to put it back together. So I was broken head to toe. It was severe. My short-term memory loss was so temperamental at the time that I was relearning on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, that I was blind, that I was in a motorcycle crash, that I had survived it, and, you know, thank you, Mom. Sorry. Be happy to hold on to the family I do have. I'm grateful I survived. It's weird. I don't really remember how long it took to
fully understand it. Like
to start getting a grasp on, like, hold on to reality.
Yeah, like, when did you permanently notice? I know it's one of the craziest things
Yeah.
to ask somebody who didn't have recollection of something.
Of learning, yeah.
I know.
It's like asking you, well, when you were younger, like, how long did it take for you to really grasp onto addition? Like, how long did that really take to understand the concept? It's like, I don't know. I had to learn it. Like,
I have to at least ask.
Exactly.
Sure,
but I think it was like because I returned. I was finally returned home and discharged from the hospital and crashed out in 2013. By 2014, I finally returned home to a house that I didn't even remember moving to. I guess we had moved there like a year or something before my crash.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that house, so I had to relearn not only how to walk, but how to walk and navigate a new building that I'd never seen in my mind.
Wow.
I started using anchors to just really grasp onto broad ideas of thinking. Not just, okay, remember how many steps are the staircase, but rather how to navigate a staircase in general.
Yeah.
So I let my cane tap, I hit where the height of a cane is, or a stair rather, I mean, and then adjust my hand and just let my cane hit. And each step I take, it'll perfectly clear the next stair. Unless there's something taller than a stair there, then it's going to continue.
Tap, it will be different. Yeah.
Exactly. Or if I've reached a clearing, I won't feel another stair there for it to hit, and I can just determine that it's a flat.
Gotcha.
So learning rather general ideas of learning, like how to navigate a staircase rather than how many stairs. Like, my subconscious does the thinking as far as steps, but if I had to count steps, it's usually generally pretty spot on, maybe give or take like 2 steps. I can be off, but usually it's like a step or a spot on. And telling a wall should be about there, and it angles at, I would say, maybe 45 degrees. I can bounce off, and
you're
it's
not
spot
just
on.
Freestyling your house
Each and every day, each and every time.
Okay.
So I have landmarks, and I don't use a cane in my house. So I can navigate it because I feel for those landmarks. And I had things when I had to learn how to navigate a new place. That's what I would search for. That's what I call them, landmarks in blind community.
Gotcha.
So now I can just quickly just all throughout my house, navigate just independently.
So you spoke on organ failure. Do you know what organs failed? I'm sure.
Yeah, I know a few.
Okay.
A ruptured spleen, collapsed lung. can't remember exactly what other torso organs.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But just definitely you had organ failure.
Yeah. I mean, it was
between
a.
that, the brain, like,
Yeah.
your chances of survival were next to none. And for you to be sitting across from me right now, having a conversation,
coherently,
normal as can be, coherent, and
Right.
you're blind, like, that is, like, and you're navigating yourself. Like, not only did you have a brain injury, but you can navigate blind after a brain injury.
Right.
That, to me, people that never had a brain injury can't navigate blind. You
Right.
know? So
The challenge in
it's
itself, yeah.
mind-blowing that just all of this, and to me, like, even talking to you, your slang, everything is the same as it was when prior, you know.
Wow.
Like you
so
don't.
I am the definition of the same
you
guy.
do the same hand gestures.
Yeah,
you do
I'm the same personality.
Yeah, you laugh the same, like 100%, like everything. Yeah.
These are the situations since you have history of knowing me pre-crash and post-crash. I wish you could be there, like next to my side, just there to giggle, because a cashier will be ringing me up, and this is early on in my like regaining independence. I would be shopping with my mom, so she would be by my side, but I'm paying for my shopping trip, my groceries and everything. I have my card out of my wallet because I pull my wallet out. I have my credit card in the exact same spot, so I can pull it out right there, and I'm ready. I feel where the card reader is. I know to turn it the right way. It's ready to swipe. Is he paying with a cash or card today? Why don't you ask him? He's blind, but he's not dumb.
So it's not like you're a new human,
right?
You know, to people,
right?
Like, yes, you did forget a year of your life,
but my character, my personality was
exactly
all
the same, dude.
Yeah,
like,
it just needed a quick restart, like a hard restart. I had LimeWire, iTunes going with YouTube in the background, like my Windows 98. It just overloaded.
I don't want people to think that you're like
a different person.
New person
right.
now. You know, someone that used to know you might be scared to even say hi now because they don't want to put you under the stress.
Right, like,
of,
is this a new Derrick? Yeah.
Does he even know? Or I might put him under stress saying, hey, I'm blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Like, I don't remember.
Yeah, I have a big old scar running from belly button to, you're making me show my gut right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Belly button to up here. Just a scar. Running where I was busted open. I was held open where they had to do one of the, or however many, of the 32 surgeries. The scar here, and this wasn't surgery related. That was just from the impact, the forehead scar. But a trach, I had to be literally kept alive on Bob machines, just air in, air out. And that's the thing. What's so weird about it is since I'm going off just what I remember being told because I don't remember any of the experience of it. So I have to be reminded of many different surgeries that I underwent. That's weird.
That's just, it's crazy, man.
It's crazy because like when I do relearn a forgotten surgery or something, or a piece to the story, man, that's a weird thing. In math club, I say math club. I wound up becoming vice president of my math club in college.
Wow.
As a blind person after your TBI, because I love math that much.
Well, Derrick, I just want to say thank you. And is there anything you would like to say to anybody who wants a motorcycle or wants to drink and drive? Or
I mean, if I could just be, there's not really any need to get philosophical or metaphorical, but let me be the example. With drinking and driving, we often hear one of two things. You get pulled over, arrested, jailed. Now, how many dollars? 50 grand, 60 grand, and all the fees, damages. What else? Let's say you crash and kill someone, a family.
Yeah.
Now you're in jail for how many years per life?
Yeah.
Now, not just you, that person, everyone else affected. The spider web, like the keyword I said earlier.
Yeah.
It wasn't just myself affected. My whole family was affected. My sister was in her freshman year in college, out of town. She came back because she came back to town because she was told that her brother likely isn't going to survive a motorcycle crash. Well, I am that 0.0000 chance, whatever it was, of survival, of everything bad that can happen will. That one chance, though, of surviving, me. Yeah. So ask me, is it worth it? I'd give almost anything to to just simply see my family's face again, dude. I have 3 nephews and nieces now. Having my first nephew, every time I would walk into the room after, I forget how old he was, but I would walk into the room and having never seen this young kid, he'd be like, "Unda!" And I guess his little baby arms would go up, and I thought he was saying "Unda." Like, why is he saying underwear? That's why I thought "Unda." Why? That sounds like close up. Like he's still in diapers. I asked my sister, like, why is he saying underwear? That's weird. But yeah, "Unda," yeah, and I wasn't like walking with underwear, so. But every time I would walk in, he'd see me, "Unda!" He's just happy. The little baby arms go up. He was saying, because he slowly evolved into "Unda," became Uncle Derrick. He was saying Uncle Derrick.
Yeah.
Each and every time I would walk into the room, before I even knew what he was saying.
Yeah.
I've never seen this kid, literally, but I was by his side. I mean, we play it all the time. We would play Hot Wheels together, build Legos.
Yeah.
We were side by side, but I've never seen him. So that's to say, like, even if you're surrounded by someone and you have such a strong love, sight does play a role in that. I've never been able to completely shake the fact that a small part of me does feel alone.
Yeah.
Even with you right here, with anyone around me, birds in the sky, there's never a complete part of me that can say, no, I don't feel alone. Because I only know for a fact that I'm here because I feel myself.
Yeah.
So it's... If I could go back and just change that one decision, that's all it takes. That one lifestyle, that one desire to maybe fit a mold of what's considered cool. To be the cool guy in a crowd of newly made friends, the wild child, the one who stands out, wanting to do this, that.
Well, you're going to save somebody else watching this from doing that, and I am very confident in that.
I
know you do speak to schools as well.
Yeah.
And children as well, so that is awesome, and I have to just give you all the kudos in the world for that, seriously.
Thank you, man.
Keep being you, and I'm sure we'll see you again here on Not Watching TV, Derrick.
And thanks for not watching TV.
Yeah. That was wonderful.
Nice, dude. That felt legit.
Oh, it
felt
was so
real.
authentic as can be, man.